Hello there, yarn lovers, it's Gary and I'm coming to you from my happy place, the Yarn Corner here on the west coast of Canada. How are you all doing? I hope you're well and staying safe on this early evening Wednesday. It is September the 17th, 2025, and it's been about 2 weeks since I dropped my last podcast. I've been really busy. Work's been busy, home life's been busy. There's a couple of things that are going on for me in the community here in the next little while. So yeah, what have I got in this video for you today is some finished objects, works in progress, and the community stuff that's happening I'll leave towards the end of this video. So all the yarny goodies will be up front. Now, if you're just arriving and finding this channel for the first time, I want to welcome you. I've set this channel up to talk about all of my yarny adventures. That's in knitting, crochet. I talk about my acquisitions where I purchase my yarn or tools of my craft. So if that's of interest, then please stick around. And for those who have returned, I want to say thank you so much for all of the comments that you leave me. It's encouragement. It's great connections that I've been making with you along the way over the many years, or even if you've just started watching. You've always dropped me encouraging comments and hello, letting me know what you're working on. So I really value that. So keep the comments coming. Let me know what you've been working on lately. Okay, so because this is jam-packed and I've got a lot of things to cover in this video, I'm going to start right away with a work that has finished. It's been finished for about a week. I sewn in my last end and there was a bit of a internal cheer that I had when it was all said and done, and I've been really enjoying working on this project. It has been on the hook for the last, I'm going to say 5 months, and you've been with me along the way if you've been watching these videos. So if you've guessed what that project is, it is the BebaBlanket's pattern that I was working on called the Cozy Mosaic Cuddles, and that's it there. It's by BebaBlanket, and this is a heavily charted mosaic crochet pattern, and it is the style of mosaic crochet that is overlay. So you are kind of almost doing 2 rounds of the color changes to get your design come out. Now this is done in rounds. I know you can do the mosaic crochet overlay style in rows and cutting your yarn in every row, but this is done in rounds, so it's nice that you can carry your yarn until you need to change the color out. You can clip it and then change color out, and so you have a little bit of ends, but not as much as the row overlay mosaic crochet has. So it's a paid for pattern. I'll leave patterns down below, or any YouTubers that I might mention, in the description box. And there are around, I'm going to say 22 to 24 pages in this pattern. Okay, so I'm going to show you here. I don't know how it's going to fit into the viewfinder, but I've taken some clips and photographs to show the process along the way, and you can see the project in its entirety, because I think it's going to be hard to show it as I'm sitting down here, but I'll cut to that after I talk about the yarn. So here it is here. It's humongous. The last time I showed you was before I went on holidays, and I hadn't done this orange border or this little, I'm going to say it's like a squiggly line, my final squiggly line. So all of that has been done. And as you realize, when you are working in the rounds get bigger and bigger. So it was a number of hours, I think, maybe a full hour to get right around with one row. Maybe that's a bit exaggerated. I'm going to say 40 minutes for sure per round by the time that this blanket was kind of towards the end. Yeah, so here it is. As I mentioned, I will cut some photographs and some film footage of this so you can see it in its entirety. But I absolutely enjoyed it. So it goes through, I'm going to say, like, let me count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Sorry, it goes through probably 9 or 10 cycles of these patterns, and then it repeats. So I did the complete 9, and then I went back to the beginning of the charts, and it worked out that they fit precisely into cycle back around again. So you can do this blanket pattern as big as you like. You just cycle through the charts over and over again. Mine measures 5 feet by 4 feet. And if you want to have a look at the back of Mosaic overlay crochet, this is how it looks here. Sorry if you can hear people walking. I've got my window open because I want the fresh air to come in. Yes, so this is nice and neat on the back side as well. You don't get the patterns, but you do get the striping of the colors that you're using. And either way, I do like the back as well. It's got this nice sunsetty feel to it. Yeah, it's wonderful, wonderful and big. What I'm going to be using this for will be down in the lounge area where we kind of have our seating arrangement to watch TV, and that will drape over a chair. We can use it when it gets cooler in the cool months to cover ourselves with. So I absolutely love it. When I began the project, I used a very helpful tutorial which started me off and did this purpley and grey area here in the center. I thought that that was a great way of showing me the start of this project and a little bit more about the Mosaic overlay crochet technique. And I will include that down in the description box as well. If you're wanting to start a project like this, it's very helpful. I found the corners were my most difficult to learn. That would be to also like do the corner pieces where I had trouble reading the chart. So being shown what that means with the chart and the video was a great help. Also, when I completed the round, the video showed how to prepare your yarn for the next round, and I thought that was very helpful as well. So yeah, I will show you the yarn that I used for this. All of it was very economic yarn, bought from big box stores, and I used a 4mm crochet hook. This is all of the yarn that I used in the blanket. I have small bits and pieces left, but I'll start off with the major ones that I used throughout, and that would have been the Mandala from Lion brand. I only have the label left, but there's the colorway there. You can see a bit of the swatch on the bottom. This is a 3-weight yarn, I believe, and it's in the colorway called Andorian. So I used 2 of these with a small little bit left over. What I had done was I'd cut up all the colors from the 2 balls, joined them together, and I was working the pattern through with different colors and picking and choosing which ones I wanted to put into the blanket next. So occasionally I had to feed other colors in as well from different brands so that I could extend on a certain orange or a certain purple from this color, from this yarn, sorry, in the mandala. So I used 2 of those. And the next major one that I used was the Premier anti-peeling everyday worsted gradient cakes, and I used 2 in the black tones and 2 in the purple tones. So there's my black and there's my purple, 2 of each, black and purple. So I got 4 labels in that. I would say the next one that I used, which was very helpful for this project to get that stained glass kind of feel, was the Pound of Love from Lion Brand in the colorway Charcoal, and probably used, I only had about 50 grams left of this, so the rest of it was used in this ball. And as you know, notice some of them are 3-weight yarns and some of them are 4-weight yarns. I kind of was mindful of alternating between the yarn colors and yarn rows. Each round was divided by splitting up a round in a 3, then a round in a 4-weight, round back in a 3-weight. So it kind of like undulated. There wasn't any large lengths of just using one type of weight yarn and then switching over to the next, because that would have potentially warped or created bulging in the blanket itself. But in keeping it kind of like alternating consistently throughout the blanket, the fabric was, the weight was evenly distributed, so it did fall flat in the end, which was great. Now, some of those additional colors that I was mentioning, where I was either trying to use another orange or another purple to extend on certain areas, I used the James C. Brett Top Value Double Knitting, which is a 3-weight yarn in the colorway Fuchsia. And I used a Premier Basic DK, which is a 3-weight, in the colorway called Tangerine, I think it is. Yeah, Tangerine. So that was the orange. And because I had some left over and I love the color green, there was a little bit of this that went into it as well. And I finally used this ball up. I had put it in about 3 other projects, and it's from Red Heart, called Unforgettable. This ball lasted me so long, I thought it was time to get rid of some of it. And it is in the colorway called Echo. So just in a small area. So those were all the yarns that I had used. I have 10 labels here and a little bit left over from some of them. So, okay, I'll just put that back in later. All right, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut to the clip where you can see the blanket in its entirety, and maybe some pieces throughout, snippets if I can find them along the way. And thank you for encouraging me in the comments to keep going. It was I wouldn't say that I put it in a naughty corner ever, but there were times when I didn't touch it for about a couple of weeks on end, because other things were in my life at the time, especially like when I was traveling. I hadn't touched it for like 3 weeks. But when I got back home from my trip, I was eager to get going on it and finishing it up. So enjoy the clips and I'll be back in just a minute. Okay, so the next thing that I want to chat to you about is a second finished object that I completed just last night. I sewed a Kitchener stitched this piece together. It's a knitted item, and you saw me working on it possibly 3 times or twice in previous videos that I mentioned, and I was aiming to get a long tube of 6 feet. I managed to do 6.5 feet, and here it is here. It's a cowl. I absolutely love it, and it uses a stitch technique that I learned from a pattern called the Bricklands Cowl. It is by the Greyt Co, and I will link that down below in the description box as well. It's a paid for pattern that I purchased from a store from Ketchikan in Alaska when I was on a cruise with my family. And what do you think? I absolutely love it. So as I mentioned, it's a tube that I knitted up and went through the stitch pattern, which is a 4-row repeat, until I got to the length of 6.5 feet. I switched up my background colors, and I chose different scrap yarns that I had in my leftover bin, and just did all different colors in the, I don't know whether the technique is called a slip stitch, but it's kind of like a cable crossing with one stitch. So it's like a slip stitch but cable for this technique, and I absolutely enjoyed the different styles of color play, as well as the intermingling of, there were all different types of yarns. Some of them were kind of a batik style yarn, some of them were solid, some of them were a little shinier, some of them were a little duller. So I really enjoyed it. Yeah, so I'll wear it for you just for a little bit because it is quite warm in the room. But the cowl that I created, it's different from the Bricklands construction, Bricklands cowl construction. It is kind of something I wanted to come up on my own. So I came up with this tube that I Kitchener stitched the two ends together, and it made this donut shape. So yeah, when I'm ready to get rugged up and I go out with my big jacket in the winter here in Canada, I will wear this cowl. I can also decide to have it just laying flat like this, and that also works. I really enjoyed the versatility of this, when you can wear it double rolled, or you can have a loop that's tighter around your neck and one that's a little looser, so you get that layering effect. And because they're all different kind of colors, I'm getting the feel that the work is you can play around with the work, have the lighter colors in the front or the darker colors in the front, so you can twist it around to enjoy the different flavors of how you can wear this. So yeah, the yarn that I used was all varieties, but the background yarn that you're seeing in the slabs of color, I had used from Hobby Yarn. One was the Winter Glow in the solid, the other one was the Woody Tweed. So they're a combination of recycled yarns as well as acrylic and wool based, so they're blends, and I enjoyed working with them. I find that the Woody Tweed yarn from Hobby, it's a little fragile, so when you are, or if you are trying it for the first time, just note that when with acrylic or some sturdier yarns that are applied very well, you can kind of tug on the ends, or if you're tying a knot. I found that the Woody Tweed does separate. It's quite a fragile yarn, so once it's worked up into its fabric, it becomes a lot more tougher, but in the single strand, as you're using it, it is quite a fragile yarn. Yeah. As I mentioned, all of the color striping that you see here with the technique of the slip stitching and the cable over, it's they're all different varieties. I have the bag that I was working in was just a clear plastic bag here, and these are what's left over still, which will go into another project that I'm working on currently, and I'll talk to you about that. The needles that I used were these ones here, and they're 4mm. These were a gift by a friend who would like to remain anonymous, but watches the channel, and it was a gift from some tools that weren't being used any longer in her family, so they came my way, and these are a little bit of vintageness. So they are plastic or resin. I really like them because they don't click when you use them. They're very quiet needles, and great for this project because the circumference was exactly the amount of stitches that held this work as I was going through. So yeah, I really enjoyed it. But now I'm going to shift gears and we'll talk about some works in progress. This next one that I'm going to talk to you about, as I'm shuffling things, sorry about that, is on Hank. And Hank is my man form here. He's wearing an answer to the mood board mail that I'm hosting. So I'm hosting a make along right now. It ends October 15th, 2025. So there is just under a month. If you're still interested in getting involved in it, I'll give you some details. But I would suggest going back and watching the guideline video, which I'll include down below in the description box. So it is called the Mood Board Mel Summer 25. And it's all to do with using your visual notebook or sketchbook. You can also do it digitally as well if you have a journal that's online, or you've got a digital way of documenting your thoughts and ideas. This time round, I did mine in the analog. So I took out a sketchbook and I compiled some of my favorite ideas for motifs. This is the theme for this make along, which goes until October. And my motifs were all to do with little critters in my nature walks that I take in the forests. So I'm asking people, if you're interested in joining in the motif make, to include a mood board like this and submit it to me, and a completed make as well. So my mood board is all to do with going on my nature walks. As I mentioned, these are some of the things that I clipped into my mood board, and I've given it some names as well. So when I'm evoking a feeling, I'm trying to, like I'm looking at these wonderful different elements on my mood board, and I'm coming up with some feelings like wonder, enchantment, playfulness. So that's what I'm trying to strive in my make. The pattern is called Into the Wild, and it's by Tania Barley. It's been crumpled because it went traveling with me when I went on my trip, and I worked on it just a little bit here and there. The pattern is written out, and it has a color chart as well for the part that I'm on right now, which is the yoke. This pattern has, I believe, 10 sizes. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Yes, and I'm doing size number 4. It doesn't give me like whether it's a small, medium, large, XL, or anything like that. It just gives me the circumference that I'm looking for. I did a swatch and figured out that I needed to go up an extra size with what I was choosing for my needles. My needles are 5.5 millimeters, and there is another set that you require as well for the banding, which is a slightly smaller one. I believe I have used a 5 millimeter or a 4.5. I can't quite remember when I did my neck collar. So I'll take it off so that you can have a look. And this is where I'm at. I believe the last time I showed you, I just started the tips of the fox's ears, and now I've done the full fox, and I'm working on the trees in the lower section of the yoke. I think it's gonna turn out really nice. The color choice that I made is more on the lighter side, so I'm going to be using more of the oatmeal color. It's kind of like a light gray oatmeal, and as my main featured yarn, then my colors are the foresty green and a hand-dyed yarn that I did myself of the orange. Yeah, so I'm really enjoying it. The things that are different that I've made in the pattern are the rolled neck collar. The pattern doesn't have a rolled neck collar, and it doesn't have the color work here in the neckline. So I've added those features in to the pattern. Yeah, I'm showing you the side with the knitting needles, but there it is there. I was curious because the eyes are actually these little dots here, and the white part is part of the nose from the fox, which may not be evident when you're seeing the different swatches on Ravelry. So I'll put that back and we'll talk about the yarn. Okay, go back on him. There we go. Yeah, it's looking good. The yarn that I'm using, it's being held in this bag here, which is from the Canadian crocheter. She made the bag, but it was gifted to me by Rose from Rose Likes Crochet. So hi Rose and Debbie. The main color that I'm using is this color here. It's from Cascade 22 and it's from their Heathered collection. The number of this color is 8011, and that's the band there. Cascade 220 Heathers. And the white that I'm using, it's attached to the yarn, was a gifted yarn by a friend who I'll be seeing in a few days, but more on that in my little catch-up section after I talk about the projects. It's this one here. It's called Worsted Deluxe by Universal Yarns, and the colorway is called Neutral. The color number is 12270, and that's the white part that's going through the yoke right now. I don't know whether you can read that, but these are all four weight yarns. The last one is the green that second last one is the green that I was talking about, the foresty green, which is Cascade 220 Superwash, and that is in the color number, I want to say it's 865. 865, that's it there, and that's the label there. I feel like you're far away and I have to like get really close. The last one that I have used is this here, which is an overdyed yarn that I had stuck in some orange, and it is from Peyton's Classic Wool yarn, and it's the marl variety. Originally it was the grey marl colorway, but when I put it into orange, I thought this was a great color for a fox. So I'm using that one too. I did have some yarn in here that I thought I would use, but I'm not sure it will go into the pattern now. And it was this one here from Rowan, and it's cashmere tweed. I have about 8 balls of this, and this was a gift from Crystal over at Bag a Day, but I'll use it for a project on its own rather than just taking from small bits and pieces. So maybe this will go into a vest or a nice cowl of some nature. I love this yarn, it's really beautiful. So I'll put that back into the bag, and the mail that I'm talking about, that I'm hosting right now, we have just under 4 weeks left, so I do have a large amount of work to complete this jumper in time for the finish of the make along, but I'm gonna be focusing more on this sweater in the next couple of weeks, because my focus in the last couple of weeks getting home from my holidays was the blanket and that huge cowl. I just wanted to get that off the hook and off the needles so I can concentrate on this one now. So yay! Talking about that trip as well, the other thing that I want to mention is a slow growing project, which every once in a while I will just keep this on the back burner for when I'm in long car journeys or traveling on a plane for many hours. And it's my little hexie project that I'm going to be making a blanket out of. Right now, I showed a couple of the hexies that I was working on to a little recipe shared with me by Valerie, one of the viewers of the channel, and I counted them all up because I wanted to give an idea of how many I had gotten done collectively over the holiday that I had, including the trip home. And I think the last count that I had was 39 or 40, something like that. But now I've counted them up and I've got 123 hexies. So that's 123 hexies in here, in all different yarns. You may recall from the last video that I updated you on the project, I was showing a yoke that I was going to rip out and use in my hexies. So that's been done. I've ripped out that whole yoke and I've used, I'm going to say maybe more than half of that yoke in that blanket now. Sorry, yeah, in the hexies. And I have a whole bunch of new yarn that has come across from the Mosaic blanket. So I've got all of these little scraps. I'm using that hook there in the bag, which is a 3mm hook or 3.5. Let me just double check. 3.5mm crochet hook. And these are some more that are going to go into that blanket. Possibly on my next trip or car journey that I have, I can work on these as I go. So this is a long-standing project that I'll have, but I'll touch base with it every once in a while with you guys. And that goes in there too. So I want to thank Valerie for that recipe as well. So moving on to the next thing, this is a brand new item that I haven't shown before on the channel, but it is in a project bag that was a gift sent to me by Edith, and it is the bag called Redesigned Project. Oh, Redesigned Project, sorry. It's a nice canvas bag that I use as a project bag. Now, this is a bit of a mix match of yarns that I wanted to try out together in a bit of a playful way. A lot of my concentration was going into charts, counting, and this was a project that could free me up a little bit on all of that counting and all of that kind of concentration. And I always tend to go to my crochet when I want something to feel like it's more freeing and not so intensely focused. So I am not working to a pattern that is out there. I'm just playing around with the yarn and working on something from my head. So here it is here. It is a crocheted triangle scarf, and I'm using different stitches, double crochet mostly, in through the back loop for the first couple of bands there that you're seeing, and I'm creating these ridges. Sorry, the back post or front post, back post, front post, double crochets, and where you see the purple stripes, I'm doing puff stitches or bubble stitches. And then this third one here is the 2 crochet granny kind of square, 2 double crochet granny squares, giving a nice mesh quality. It's light and airy. I'm using fingering weight yarn, and in actual fact this greenish blue color is a lace weight. The greenish blue one was a gift from Penny Bolton, and the purple one was one, I believe I purchased this from a European store. Yes, I think I did. And that is the purple one is this one here called Regenbagen, which is Germany. Yeah, it's in German, sorry. And it's this colorway here. The color number, if you're looking for it, I believe, because it's in German, I can't. Oh yeah, it says color. It's 1602. And I'm thinking of intermittently keeping the bubbles puff stitch rows consistently through, and because I have a lot of this left over, I might do a huge border in the end that has large picots or some type of ornate border. And the other yarn that I'm using, which is the greenish colored one, is this yarn here called Whisper Lace, and it's by Fabra Natura. I have a little bit still of the ball here to show, and it's a nice kind of bouncy yarn. So when I'm working with it, I'm finding that its elasticity allows me to get into really tight, tiny areas, and I'm using a 4mm crochet hook. What's the colorway of the greenish color? Is 215, and it's made in Turkey. So yeah, some really interesting yarns. I don't know whether you can read that because it's in that fancy script writing. Whisper Lace by Fabra Natura. Yeah, thanks Penny for that yarn. So this is my go-to project when I want just to relax and not have to count. And I'm probably going to do a few more layers of the green, and I might switch up the stitches after 2 layers of each stitch, just to see how it goes. But I'm really liking it. Nice spring colors, even though it's not spring. We're coming up to autumn, and that's it. I do have a little cake here that I was thinking I might try and use, and I did give it a go with the lace yarn, and this is the Premier Trinket. It might come back into it, so I thought maybe some of those flecks of color might be interesting going through the green. That is in the colorway called Rose Quartz, but I think I'm going to keep this for a jumper. I have a couple of these. I think I have 5 of them, and that will be enough for playing around with in a jumper. Okay, this one is a whip that I haven't touched since going on the holiday, but I haven't showcased it since just doing the back half of the back panel, but now I've done the front section. Pixels downstairs. So this is a top that I'm working on. It's knitted, and I had shown this back section, and now I am up to the collar. So I'm doing a polo collar. It's a short sleeve top. I have the pattern in here. It's paid for as well, and it's Yume. That's the name of the pattern, Yume. And this is by Markus Knits. I'll leave it down below in the description box as well. I really like the look and feel. I know you're not really seeing much in the way of the design from the front cover, but everything else is kind of in there. It's got parts of the pattern, so I can't show you what it looks like. What I'm using is I'm holding a few yarns together, and one of them, or the main colored yarn, is this one here from Hobby. It's called Rainbow Bamboo, and that's 60% bamboo viscose and 40% cotton. In the colorway, I don't know what color name it is, maybe it just has a number. Ooh, I think it's come up. Oh, here we go. It's color 32. It's like a light gray steel color. And I'm holding it with another yarn to give it a little bit of a body, and it's this one here, which is a wool yarn, and that's lace weight, and together they're making a nice pair. This one, I think that on the inside of this cone it just says Roma, sorry, R-O-M-A. I'm not sure whether that's the brand breakdown or the fiber breakdown, but I looked it up and it said it was wool. So yeah, putting those two together. And that was a generous gift from Hobby for the hobby yarn here. They gifted me the yarn for a challenge, which was lightweight yarn called #Hobby Light and Breezy. I have already done a few projects with Light and Breezy, but this one is one that I didn't finish in time for it, so I'm just going ahead and continuing on my way. And I am going to be doing, put that on here, I'm going to be doing my collar in a different color. So the first part, the collar is actually broken down into two sections. So my first section will be picking up stitches around here, and I'll keep that the same gray color, the gray and white. And then when I do my lapel of the collar, that will be in a different color. And I'm thinking of doing a burgundy. And with the collar, I might do the striping, like 2 key lines around the edge of the lapel, and that will be in the same white color. I'm really enjoying it because I'm learning a lot about the joins here. I don't know whether you can see that, but that's the type of join around the sleeve, or the shoulder I should say, goes up around the shoulder. I really like it. It's coming out very soft and nice and drapey. I am using my Chagu needles, and I believe it is the 3.75 set of knitting needles. And I'm going to drop down to a 3mm for the collar itself. So it needs 2 sets of needles, one for the body work and material for the sleeves, and then the second smaller yarn, needle is for the collar and cuff and waistband. Yeah. And I'm housing this in a lunch bag, which I've made into a project bag. So it has thermal heating, so it's temperature controlled. But I really like this bag. It has pockets on the outside. It's one of the bags that I purchased from Temu, lunch bag that I use for my projects. Okay, so that concludes all of the yarny topics that I've got to talk about. I might have a few more to sprinkle in, but I'm going to shift gears right now and talk to you about what's going on here outside of the yarny room. Well, some of it is in the yarny room, but if you're just here to see the projects, then you've got to get on with your busy day. Then thank you for watching up to this point. I'll see you in the next episode. if you want to stick around, let's get stuck into some of the things outside of my projects. In the yarn room, you might have noticed, I'll start with this rack that I purchased from Walmart. I went online and I purchased it and they delivered it to me. I did go in the store, but they didn't have it stocked in store. So a lot of the items that I kind of peruse on the website, they say is, well, they tell me later that it's online only. So I purchased it. It was easy to assemble. It was all in parts, and in about 15 minutes, the whole thing was created. It's a lightweight. It's not heavy duty. It's quite an easy, lightweight thing that you can move around. It was 50 Canadian dollars, and I really enjoy that these things aren't on pegs anymore. I've noticed that when I had the pegs back there, my fabric was being stretched because of gravity, and I didn't like that. So I'm switching it now and putting it on this blanket rack or blanket ladder. How do you store your projects? Do you have them folded up in sort of shelves? Do you have them in totes folded up? Or do you hang them in a certain way, like on hangers, maybe in your wardrobe? Maybe there's a few things that you do. What about the really delicate pieces that you spent lots of time on? Do they go into mesh bags, or do you have them in a certain way that you like keeping them? Because I'm slowly discovering different ways of protecting and also giving a little bit more long life to the items that I spend lots of time with. And I'd like to hear how you hang, store, fold your products or projects that you make. The other thing that I have coming up in the next few days, like over the weekend, is that I'm going to meet up with a special friend. This friend has come into the neighborhood and we've spent some time before. This is an international yarny friend. I will tell you more about it once I get the green light to talk about the meetup with you once we see each other. But I'm really super excited about it. So this is a yarny friend that I can talk in person about yarn, about projects. I don't have that on a day-to-day life kind of experience. So my family members, co-workers and friends, they don't generally have the same passion as me with yarn. There might be a friend or two that I have that plays with yarn once in a blue moon, or maybe creates something quite small. And that's great because I feel like I can inspire that sort of, the next project, or we can relate on certain things about what yarn to use, or we can talk about things that way, but not to the level of what we have here on the channel as well. And in person, it makes it even better. So yeah, I'm really looking forward to that. Other than that, in the cooler evenings now that we're experiencing in the last couple of weeks, I've really enjoyed just being at home, cuddling up with a blanket, Pixel, my husband Chad, watching movies. And I'm just trying to rack my brain on like what movies I've been watching. I've been watching a couple of documentaries of late. A lot of them are interviews with key members in the tech world, talking about AI, talking about military stuff. So I've been following a podcaster called The Diary of a CEO, and those little interviews have been quite powerful, a lot in the almost bleak kind of genre. So if you are interested in finding out some more information, I would say take them in small chunk sizes so that you don't feel heavy after watching too many in a row. But I've really enjoyed watching those types of documentary videos and podcasts of late. Let me know if you have watched a good documentary lately? Is that your cup of tea? Perhaps maybe you found something inspiring or something educational. Let's share those titles down in the comment section, because I do like to get a good reference every once in a while on a good documentary. With that, I think that catches you up with everything that's going on. I probably have missed something, but if I have, I'll put it in the next video that I make. And those will be coming out soon, because I am looking over there. I've got some yarn that arrived to me before I left on my vacation, which arrived probably early August. No, actually it was late July that this yarn arrived. So I've got 2 orders over there that I want to talk about. So yeah, more to come in the next little while. And with that, I will catch you up in the next video. Bye for now.